Hey peeps, we're back. Hopefully this is all good. Let me just double check a couple things here. There we go. All right, cool. Now we're good. I'm gonna turn this down just a bit too. All right. How's it going, everyone? Thanks for joining me again today. It's the Friday before July 4th, so I'm off today, which means I have a day to do whatever I want. So I figured I would start messing around with this handspun yarn and see if I can start making a little Cthulhu. I'm really excited about him. And I wish I had a picture to show you guys. I posted a picture on my threads of like a little concept piece of what I'm wanting to do. He's really, really cute. If this works out the way that I think it's going to. So I went out to Ravelry the other day and I was like, I'm going to try to find, at first I was thinking like a swamp monster, right? So I was just I looked up like monster pattern. And a bunch of different things came up, including this really adorable knitted Murloc from World of Warcraft that I am going to make at some point in the future, but not with this yarn because he deserves to be like super, super colorful. And so I'm thinking about doing him with like some color changing yarn that I have and really making him adorable. But anyways, not for this project. But there were several different little monster plushies that you could make. And one of them was a little Cthulhu. And I was like, oh, this is exactly what I was thinking. Like, I was kind of leaning that way anyway. Like, I was kind of in that kind of vibe with this idea. I didn't think that there would actually be a Cthulhu pattern out there, but there is. So I'm pretty excited. So yeah, so we're going to start this today. The pattern itself was basically just a homebrew pattern that somebody had made up and posted. There was no gauge. There was no recommended yarn weight or anything like that. So it's very random. So since I don't know what the gauge is on my yarn right now, and there was no specific gauge actually recommended in the pattern, we're just going to go with it and experiment and see what we're doing. So I decided the pattern actually had you start with the head and then you do the body separately and you sew them together. I've decided that for this purpose, since I don't know my gauge and I don't know how this yarn is going to behave, I am going to start with the body because the body is basically just a rectangle that's about 5 by 5 inches. So that's what I'm making right now, is working on this body. And that way it'll give me a chance to actually kind of mess around with the yarn, check the gauge, see what it looks like, and then I can adjust if I need to go from there. And normally, if I were doing this for something serious, like a hat or gloves or a sweater or something like that, I would have like stretched this yarn out and washed it and all that kind of jazz. Since this is none of that, this is a plushie, I'm knitting it straight off the spool. So we're just experimenting today. I may get halfway into it and be like, yeah, no, this isn't working. We've got to do something different. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm currently knitting. All I did was I wanted a really dense fabric. Since this is going to be stuffed, you don't want something where the stuffing is going to fall out of it or be poking through it. And a lot of times knitted fabric, because it's so stretchy, you can kind of see the stuffing through it, or you can kind of pick little fibers out. That's not really what I was going for with this. So I'm making the fabric really, really dense. So I decided to go with, at least for now, these are US size 4 needles, which would be, how big is that in European? Let's see. I think that's like 3.5 millimeters in European sizing. So yeah, I went with US 4 needles just to see how they would work. So far, of course, I'm only a couple rows in. It seems to be creating a pretty dense fabric, which is what I wanted. And then I'm doing a seed stitch or a moss stitch. So I'm basically alternating. I'm doing like knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one for 2 rows, but like I'm matching it. And then I'm alternating on, basically I'm alternating every 2 rows instead of every 1 row. So it should give it like a little vertical, scaly sort of appearance. Yeah, the little the pattern that I picked, it has the plushie and then it has yarn coming off of his little face. So he has the little thing going on. And then like the inspiration picture, project picture that I really liked also had the same on his, I think it was on his hands and feet as well. And then there's also little wings, and I wasn't crazy about the wings, so I'm kind of torn on those. I might do something different for the wings or leave them off entirely. I don't know yet. Mostly I want to see if I can get the body and the head right, and then I'll figure out the wings later if I decide to go with wings. And the reason I don't want to do wings, or why I'm almost leaning towards not doing wings, is because I was considering making little outfits for it. And I'm like, wings would kind of put a cramp in that. But we'll see. I feel like he does need wings. Maybe I can make like detachable wings. Maybe with like a little button on the back and they just like button. I don't know. We'll see. This is a little bit slower going than usual because I am using a needle that I think is really smaller than what it should be for this weight of yarn to make it so dense. So I'm having to fight the yarn just slightly, but that's okay. So far, I'm liking the fabric. So yeah, I hope everyone is having a good week. Like I said, here in the US, tomorrow is July 4th, or our Independence Day. So a lot of us, not everyone, but a lot of us, today is a government holiday. So I'm off today, which is nice. I'll be honest, I'm not really a huge like Independence Day celebrator. It's not because I'm unpatriotic. It's just it's super, super, super hot here. Usually July 4th is like crazy hot, and I do not do hot temperatures. So I'm grateful for the day off. And if there are fireworks, I'll go watch fireworks, and that's pretty much it. Like I'm not really like big into like cookouts and doing all the stuff like during the day is not really my gig. Usually in the months of like June, July, and August, I hibernate inside. Hibernate indoors. I'm going to do like patriotic stuff outside. I'd rather do like Memorial Day or Labor Day, things like that. And last night, I actually considered firing up the stream last night to do this, but it was like after I got done with work and we had dinner. We actually had hot dogs for dinner, so there was our 4th of July hot dog consumption. After I had dinner, I honestly just I didn't feel like doing anything. Like my brain was just like completely empty, and I was like, you know what? No, this is going to be a brain rot night. So I pretty much just crashed on the sofa and chilled. And I watched videos on YouTube, and that was pretty much it. It was just one of those, sometimes you just need a day to like crash and do nothing, or at least a night to crash and do nothing. But it's good because I woke up this morning and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go now. Oh, and let me tell you about this morning. So it's my day off, right? I rarely ever get to sleep in, but on my day off, I like to sleep in, right? Just a nice little perk. So this morning, I was very rudely awoken by the sound of jackhammering in my basement. Construction workers didn't tell us they were coming today. I especially did not know that they were going to be doing that. So it was just like being woken up out of a deep sleep by the sound of jackhammering the next floor down. I was like, guys, really? Oh, but it's fine. I was like, you know what? Fine. I need to get up anyway. But yeah, I was like, guys, of all days to do it. Today? Really? Sir. So yeah, it's okay though. I went down yesterday so I could check out and see like what all they had done, and everything is looking great so far. They have all the walls framed out so I can kind of visualize what the rooms are going to look like and what the layout's going to look like. And I think when the framing goes up, it definitely starts to seem real. When they get the drywall up, it will seem very, very real at that point. But next week, talk to them today to be like, hey, what's the plan for next week? Oh, look, there's a little overspun area in my yarn. We're just going to work it in. So we asked them, what's the plan for next week? And next week, they are going to be delivering our jacuzzi tub. That'll be here Monday, or should be here Monday. And then they're going to have the HVAC guys, the electrical guys, and the plumbing guys all out here next week, working down there to get everything put in before the drywall goes up. So next week is going to be pretty crazy. And then they submitted for the building permit like a month ago. So it should be coming through any day now. And they were saying that once the building permit comes through, they'll be able to like just speed things up and get everybody over here at once and just really start knocking it out. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm excited to see the results. Just being able to go down there and walk through things, it was great because it's like I could envision where certain things are going to go or what I wanted to do with the space. So that was really nice. Okay, here's our fabric so far. Let's take a look. You can see you've got some variegation down here. It's the darker blues, and now it's going into the lighter green area, and I really kind of like it. The seed moss stitch, I really like that. It kind of covers up some of the bumps, I think. We'll see how it keeps going as we get further into the yarn, because I know there's going to be some areas of this yarn that's really, really thick. So we'll see what it looks like. But so far, so good. I'm liking the results. I'm really excited to get my new office down there. I think the new office should be larger than the one I have here. It'll definitely have a larger closet and has like a full walk-in closet instead of just the kind that you just open up and it's just like a narrow closet in front of you. Um, so the walk-in closet is going to be amazing to store all of my yarn and crafty stuff. My yarn, sewing machine. I'm going to get a new ironing board and new irons and stuff to keep down there as well. I'm having them put in an electrical outlet in the closet so that I can actually just set up the ironing board and iron down there in the closet and just leave it there. And the ironing board is important because once I start sewing, if you're sewing, you have to iron your seams and make sure that they're all straight and pressed before doing anything. It makes a huge difference in the finished output of the garment to press as you go. So, and the worst part for me about sewing, one of the parts I always hated about sewing was ironing, because I always had to pull out the ironing board and pull out the iron and do all that kind of stuff. So my idea was, if I set it up, just permanently set it up in the closet of the office or the studio, then I don't have to worry about pulling it out every single time. I just have to plug the iron in and go. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, okay. Doing the seed stitch, you have to keep track of what you're doing. It's not that difficult. It's just like you're basically doing the same thing as the row before until you switch. But with this bumpy yarn, it's hard to tell sometimes. But yeah, so currently my desk setup up here is an L-shaped desk that I got at IKEA. It's basically just two big desktops sitting on top of like some filing cabinets, which is great. It's perfect. Or storage cabinets, I should say. So for downstairs, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the same pieces, but I'm going to add an extra desktop and get some extra legs. And I'm basically going to set up a big U-shaped desk. That way I can kind of separate things out even more, because on my L-shaped desk, I literally have my work workstation, my play workstation, my gaming laptop and gaming PC and everything. And then this setup for streaming, this little like knitting work area, craft work area. And it's all like together. So it's kind of crowded. So I'm thinking if I add another desktop piece and make it a big U-shaped big U-shaped desk, it will be easier to spread out and have more separated, delineated workspaces. So I'm going to do that. I have a shelf in here that I keep some of my craft stuff on. That'll go downstairs. I have a lovely green velvet love seat in here that I absolutely adore. I got it from one of my friends when she moved from here to California. She had this, actually with her husband's love seat, and they were like, "Do you want it?" And I'm like, "Yes, please give it to me. I want it so bad." So it's going to go downstairs. And then I'm going to get a vinyl record display wall set up so that I can display some of my vinyl collection over it. I'm thinking probably doing like how big would it be? Maybe 5x6, so like 30 albums I could show off, something along those lines. And just displaying it over the love seat. Might actually be able to go bigger than that. And I can put my record player up and everything down there. A lot of the stuff that I have right now is kind of like stored away because I don't have enough space. But down there I should have enough space. And I've been like designing it out on graph paper and stuff to kind of figure out how I wanted to set it up. So I think it'll be really cool. And then thinking about lighting and stuff as well. I do use Govee lighting in here usually while I'm knitting. Usually while I'm at work or while I'm working. Sometimes they require us to have our cameras on, so I typically will have the overhead lights on and everything. But if I'm just hanging out in here knitting, streaming, whatever, I will have all the lights off and I use Govee lights as mood lighting. But I think I want to add some. I'm thinking about getting like some strip LED lights and just putting all around the top of the walls, like right next to the ceiling, just like clear LED lights. And then I'll have my Govy lights. I've got one Govy light currently. I'm thinking about getting another. And then maybe doing some of those cool like hexagon style lights on one of the walls as well. Just to have fun with it. In this office here, I've got two windows. As you can kind of see one like right behind me there. There's like shutters in the front. And so the light is always streaming in. Back there or downstairs, I'll only have one window and it doesn't face towards the sun so much. The only time it really faces towards the sun is in the mornings. So at night, you won't have like bright lights coming in, or in the afternoons, I should say. You won't have like bright light trying to stream in through the shutters. It should keep things a lot cooler down there, which is nice as well. So I think it'll be a much better setup overall. And I'm trying to do as much as I can without buying more stuff to go down there. There's a real temptation, like if you know how like if you're moving, or a lot of times if you move, like you kind of want to get like new stuff for the new place. I'm trying very, very hard not to do that because like just getting the basement finished is pretty pricey anyway, but I'm trying to reuse as much stuff as possible from up here downstairs. I know we're going to have to buy like a new sofa for downstairs. And I'm thinking about getting like one of those big, like a big sectional type sofa. Something like you had like a bunch of people over, everybody just like pile onto it. Something that's like really deep and everybody can just like relax into, you know. So yeah, I want it to be really comfy and cozy down there. And like I said, we're going to have my husband's arcade cabinet will be set up down there. We have a big screen LED TV down there that we haven't used in forever, but it's still down there in storage. We actually had it at our old place before we moved here years ago. But it still works, still looks really great. So we're going to set that up as the main TV down there. What else? Eventually, okay, let me tell you all my two goals and all of this besides my office. My two goals in all of this, like finishing out the basement and stuff, if I have my druthers to get two things, what I really want to get, actually, no, there's three things. What I really want to get is a pool table because I love to play pool. I really want to get a hot tub out on our patio. And I really want to get, this is going to seem crazy, I really want to get a skee ball machine, which I know is insane. It's crazy. I don't know if it'll happen, but I would love to have a skee ball machine of my own. Like, you know, if my husband can have an arcade down there, why can't I have a skee ball machine? I just think it'd be fun. And I know some people do, sometimes you do find places that are selling them. So I don't know. I haven't researched that much into it. Who knows if it'll actually happen? It's totally not an important thing to have, but it would be really cool. So we'll see how that goes. The pool table would be fun though, for sure. And the hot tub would be really nice. And then my idea, so we have one room down there that's going to be like an exercise room / guest room. Well, here's the thing. So it's definitely going to be an exercise room. And at first I was thinking it could be a guest room, but I think we may be able to move some stuff around up here and do our guest room on the main floor, which would be fine. But originally I was thinking if we were going to do our guest room downstairs, I was actually considering doing like a World of Warcraft themed guest room. I guess I could make it a World of Warcraft themed exercise room. Why not? Right? I have a bunch of posters, like canvas, not even posters, they're like canvas art from the boxes of World of Warcraft Classic and Burning Legion and Wrath of the Lich King, which it would be amazing. And I was kind of thinking about trying to set it up kind of like a in my mind I was thinking about setting it up like a tavern room with like kegs and beer steins. I've got World of Warcraft beer steins from when we went to BlizzCon 10 years ago. So setting those up, like we have so much y'all. I'm an old World of Warcraft player. Okay, I played it way back in the day when it launched in 2004, and I've played it on and off ever since then. I've got so much World of Warcraft stuff in this house, it is not even funny. And I was like, you know what? We could totally do like a World of Warcraft themed room, and I think that would be really, really fun. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. We'll see. Things are stuck in my head, you know. And then my husband is a huge geek, and so he collects all kinds of nerdy stuff. He's got a ton of Gundams. He has a ton of superhero action figures, not like little ones, but like these really nice, like they're usually probably around 12 to 15 inches, and they're like really high quality superhero, I guess, action figures. But they're like nice, really nice action figures. And he's got a ton of Lego, like Star Wars Lego and things like that. So he, in his area, in his man cave, he's going to set up bookshelves all around the perimeter so that he can display all of his stuff. I think that would be really cool. And I think it'll actually be the first time we've ever had room for him to display all of his stuff. So he's really excited about that. And I'm excited for him. Because it kind of stinks to have things that you love and you can't actually display them anywhere. All right, I'm starting to see some variegation on this, the body of this. So this is good. I'll show you here in just a moment once I get to the end of this row. Just to the end of this row. All right, more variegation. So we've got the blues, the greens. We're going back into the blues now, which is kind of fun. It's going to be a stripy Cthulhu. Ooh, there we go. I'm very pleased with the way this fabric is turning out. If I were going to do like a hat or a sweater or something wearable out of this yarn, I would definitely be using a larger needle for sure. I would probably go up to, so this is US 4, I'd probably go up to a 6 or a 7. But I think for this purpose, this is actually perfect. I don't think you're not going to be able to see a whole lot of stuffing come through on this. It's pretty dense. And I'm wondering, I haven't ever looked into this. I wonder if they make like black stuffing. Because I feel like that would be even less, like you would see that even less than white stuffing with this color yarn. I have no idea if they do. I'll have to look it up later. I will need to get some stuffing, and I'll need to get some little button eyes for this. The pattern itself called for making bobble eyes, but I don't want to do bobbles because like you don't really see them as well. And I figured like maybe just little black button eyes, or yeah, like little black button eyes would work. You'd actually be able to see them. Especially considering that this yarn is so variegated anyway. I feel like bobbles would just get lost. Would get lost in the sauce. Y'all, this was like one of my absolute favorite songs back in the day. Back in the 90s when I was in high school, this song would have me ready to run through walls. It still does. Don't ever watch the video if you get car sick easily. The video is crazy. It'll make you dizzy. But it's so very cool. I'm curious now, so we're just getting, and now we've gotten some room on this. Make sure. All right, yeah. It's growing a little bit on the sides, and it's not because I'm going up in stitches or anything. I'm not increasing. I think it's just the thickness of the yarn is causing it is causing it to grow a bit. But the way that the body is constructed on this guy, I don't think it's going to matter that much. So the body is actually just made out of like a 5x5 inch rectangle. And you basically sew the corners to each other to make little arms and legs. Which sounds crazy, I know. And then it basically creates a little hole in the middle. Once everything is sewn up, you just stuff it, put all the stuffing in the hole, and then you sew up the hole. And that's the body. Like, it's very, like, he has very, his arms and legs are just little triangles. Which I think works for this particular use case. And I'm also wondering if, so I'll probably have to take a trip to Michael's later today to get some stuffing and some little beads or something, little buttons for the eyes. I'm wondering if I should also look at maybe getting some beads of some sort to put in, like the little pellets to put in his butt so that he'll actually sit properly. Because I think his head is I think he's gonna be kind of top heavy with that huge cranium. So the pattern didn't mention it, but I'm almost wondering if I should get some little beads to put in his butt so that he'll actually sit like a proper Dark Lord should. I did notice on the pattern page, a lot of people were making this plushie out of like bulky yarn or Aran yarn. Like I said, there was no weight listed, so I guess technically you could make it out of whatever yarn you want to. And then if you make it out of a thin yarn, it'll just end up being smaller, as opposed to out of a bulky yarn, it would be much larger. So I'm kind of curious to see how big this one's going to be. That's part of the reason I wanted to start with the body as well, so I can get the body done. If I can get an idea of how big the body is going to be, I think that'll help me when I'm trying to figure out how big the head will be, so that it will be in scale or in proportion. Every time I get to the end of the row, I'm trying to remember, okay, is this where I switch my stitch pattern up? But I'm just remembering, since it's every 2 rows, I'm just remembering that every time I get to the end with the tail, that's when I switch it up. It's like, oh, okay, so right now I'm just copying what I did the last row. Currently, we're listening to BB No Money. Baby No Money, I think is how he says it. Uh, saw him in concert a few months back in DC, which, by the way, was so much fun. Like, it's funny, I went with a friend of mine, and we were both worried that we were going to be like the oldest people there. And we might have been. But like, everybody was so friendly. Like, once you got there, like, nobody cared. Nobody cares how old you are at a concert. If you're the oldest person there, so what? Nobody cares. But it was like super, super fun. And it was surprisingly wholesome. Like, he was so nice and so kind to his fans and to the crowd there. It was all love. It was all love. It was all fun. Like, it really was not, like, if you listen to some of his lyrics, you're just like, oh my gosh. But no, the concert was very, I mean, it was a party. It was so much fun. And if he comes back around, I'm definitely there. I didn't realize this is a thing that he does, but he will pull somebody out of the audience and give them a signed cookbook. Like, the cookbooks that you get like at thrift stores, or like the old church cookbooks from like back in the day. It has like all the church recipes and stuff in it. He gets those, and then he'll pick a recipe out, and he'll like sign his name like with the recipe, and he'll pull somebody out of the audience and give them the cookbook. And I was like, that is the coolest thing. Absolutely love that. All right, we got the end with the tail, so we got to switch things up now. But yeah, it was a total party. And so somebody at the show wasn't affiliated with the band or anything like that, but it was just like a regular like audience member. So he performed at, well, okay, let me back up. He performed at the Anthem, which is a venue in DC. And the Anthem is basically just a huge floor. And then there's the only seats are like box seats. They're like in balconies, right? And so one of the fans, dressed up like Lord Farquaad from Shrek. And every now and then he would like stand up in the box seats and just like wave at the crowd. And everybody would be chanting, Lord Farquaad, Lord Farquaad. And then like somebody pointed it out to BB No Money during the concert. And so he like got the spotlight on the guy, and everybody was cheering for him. It was so much fun. And like, everybody was dressed up. So like, we were sitting next to a girl that was wearing like a raw bacon suit. No, it was not made out of bacon. It just looked like raw bacon, which was crazy. Lots and lots of cat girls. Uh, lots and lots of furries. It was so much fun, and everybody was just having a great time. Oh, Jesus was there, crowd surfing. That was fun. I think Spider Man was there too. Pretty sure. So yeah, it was so much fun. I enjoyed it. I'm actually hoping, depending on the size of this guy and how much yarn it takes, I'm hoping I can make 2 or 3 of these. I think that would be fun. Just make a little army of these guys. What I'll do with them, I don't know. I'm sure something will present itself. Yeah, it's a slightly thicker spot in the yarn. So having to pull it through the smaller loops is a little tricky. So if I make this into a 5 by 5 inch square, or roughly a 5 by 5 inch square, it'll actually be a nice little gauge swatch. Obviously, I'm going to make it into. Okay, hold on. Something isn't right here. Why? Oh, I see it. The knit backwards. Hold up, we have a mistake. To knit backwards until I get to that point. Yeah. Thankfully, I didn't get too far into it. Knit, purl, knit, purl. Okay. I think I actually made a mistake a couple rows back, but I'm not going to bother. Due to the purpose like of this, I'm just going to leave it. We're just going to keep working. And it'll just be a little blip. So I think once I get past this row, it'll be fixed. Where I live, so I am currently living in Virginia, and I'm relatively close to Pennsylvania. I'm close to Maryland, close to West Virginia, close to Pennsylvania. As a matter of fact, I can get to any of those states within 20 minutes of my house. Anyways, I'm relatively close to Pennsylvania Amish country. And go figure, my tattoo artist lives up there too. But I'm relatively close to Pennsylvania Amish country. And if you go up to that area, they sell a lot of their own quilts and things like that. Quilts, gems, jellies, things like that they make. And when it comes to homemade items like quilts and things like that, there will always be a mistake in anything that they make. Their philosophy is that nothing is perfect. Only God is perfect. So they always have a mistake in their quilts. If one's not there already, they'll put one in, which I think is interesting. It's an interesting philosophy. It's like, you know what? Mistakes are fine. It's okay. It kind of reminds me of the whole Bob Ross, like, happy little accidents philosophy. Sometimes having mistakes present just is a reminder that something is homemade. It's made by hand. It's made with love, and um, that's awesome. Like, even if it has a mistake in it, you know, it's better than something that is commercially produced or mass produced. You know. Now, granted, typically I am a perfectionist, especially if it's like something I'm going to wear. But for things like this, it's fine. I don't stress too much about it. Come back. Yeah, I definitely see. There's like a little ridge, right? It's like starts here and it goes over this way. You can see a little, it's like a little ribbing where it didn't alternate right. But I think in the ultimate scheme of things, once things are sewn up, it'll like be on his back. So theoretically, it'll be covered up by wings. And that's fine. I did start to make some progress on my cardigan yesterday. Did get a little bit of progress in it. Actually, I'll show it to you guys so far. Let me finish this row. And I'll show you what I got. All right, I'll put that down for a second. So the cardigan that I started. I wanted to wait until I had one of the stripes started so that you guys could see it better. So this is the bottom ribbing of the cardigan. Kind of swirl it around here. So this is the bottom ribbing of the cardigan. So this would be the right side, basically. This would be the right front on this edge. And then it goes around. So then right here where this turns from gray into pink, that's the back of the cardigan. So this is the back bottom. And then the stripe starts in the back. This is the halfway point. And then the pink stripe goes all the way around to the opposite front. So this will be the other front edge. So the idea is, so this ribbing is about 2 inches long. So the idea is I'm going to continue in this gray and pink pattern for 2 inches. And then once this pink stripe is about 2 inches long, I'm going to switch it up and we're going to move to an acid green. Actually, this acid green will be striping for 2 inches on this side. And then we'll do a gray stripe up here. So it's going to alternate gray, pink, gray, green, gray, pink, and so on. So pink stripe, pink and gray stripes here, and then green and gray stripes over on this side. So yeah, I think it'll be fun. And the thing I kind of like about the striping as I was knitting it a bit yesterday was I kind of felt like this is going to be something kind of like a potato chip knit where like you just keep wanting to finish the stripes. It's like, oh no, I just got to knit for 2 inches and then I get to change the colors and do a different thing. So, and I love patterns that have that kind of repeating thing going on where, you know, you just have to get like, you know, this extra inch or this extra 2 inches, and then we're going to change things up. And so it kind of keeps things fresh. You're not doing one thing for the entire project. So, and I feel that way. Like, here's the thing. I love colored, like multicolored yarns, like variegated yarns. I don't typically will wear a whole lot of variegated stuff because I don't like stuff that is like I don't like stuff that's super bright normally, or like super like bright variegated, like, you know, hurt your eyes to look at it type stuff. This works for me because even though the pink and the lime green are super bright, they're tempered down by the gray. So there's going to be a lot more gray in this sweater than there is pink or green. So I'm fine with that. The pink and green are just kind of like accent colors. But like in general, like if you give me like a skein of like pink, orange, and purple variegated yarn, I'm going to love looking at it in the skein. I will absolutely be drooling over that. But then if you ask me to make something out of it, I'll happily make something out of it. Will I ever wear that thing? No. Highly, highly unlikely, because I typically, in my wardrobe, I typically gravitate towards black and gray and more monochrome colors. I do sometimes wear hot pink, but usually it's like an accent thing. So yeah. My taste in yarn is different than my taste in clothing. Go figure. All right. Back to the Dark Lord. And we're switching it up. Actually, before we start, let's see how long is this so far? A little over about 2 3/4 inches. Okay, so we're over halfway there. I want to go to hits about 5 inches. We'll have a square. And then we're going to make another one. Yeah, I have all this knitting to do. And I'm really, really into my creative phase at the moment. But I have found lately, like the past few days, I've been starting to crave kind of getting back into a game of some sort. But I honestly have no idea what I would want to get into. Um, Typically, World of Warcraft is my go to. However, I'm finding that as time goes on, I am less and less interested in World of Warcraft retail. I'm interested in it from a story perspective, just because I love the story of. I love Azeroth, right? I love the world. I love the world of Warcraft. I love the lore. I've always been a lore fiend. At one point in time, I had all of the books in the Warcraft setting, even the hard to find ones. I had them all. I reread them multiple times. I was at one point in time, I was like an encyclopedia of knowledge when it came to Warcraft. However, with each expansion, I'm just less and less interested in the game itself. I'm just, which is sad because I mean, it's legitimately still a great game, but for some reason, it just doesn't click with me as well. So there is World of, I can't talk today. There is World of Warcraft Classic, which I do enjoy. I've considered picking it back up. However, it becomes one of those things. It's like I've done it all before, So it's like, do I want to do it again? Um, I could just pick it up and do some crafting or fishing or just silliness. Maybe. I don't know. I'm also kind of low key hoping that at BlizzCon this year, they will announce whatever their version of Classic Plus is. And if they do that, I would definitely be back in. So if they can keep it kind of like what some of the independent server folks were doing, where they're basically keeping it very much in keeping with the original classic WoW theme and the way that quests were done and the way the story was written, but they just expand upon the world and maybe expand upon the races and add some extra quests. I would be all down for that. I think that would be fun. But that's not out right now. So I'm like, okay, so World of Warcraft Classic is a possibility. There's also Guild Wars 3, which is in development. And Guild Wars is interesting. So I played a little bit of Guild Wars 1, maybe back in the day when it came out. And let me tell you, when I say that the prologue for Guild Wars 1 ripped me apart like no game has done before or since. Like, I was playing Guild Wars 1. I had no idea what the prologue was going to be. Because, I mean, this was years and years ago. You didn't have as much data mining and stuff as you do now. But I played through the prologue, and then the thing, I'm not gonna spoil it, but the thing that happened at the end of the prologue, I was so upset that I basically said, you know what? No, I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm done. I didn't get past the prologue. I mean, I got like maybe 5 minutes into the actual game and was like, no, I'm not doing it. Did not care. So then, but then Guild Wars 2 came out years later. And I got into it because it was like, I mean, it's basically free to like buy to play, right? So you just buy it once and there's no subscription. And so I got into it with, because a guild I was playing Rift with actually was invited to do a lot of the alpha testing for Guild Wars 2 because of one of the members of our guild apparently had forged some really good contacts at ArenaNet. And so our guild was invited to do a lot of the alpha testing, which was amazing. And particularly for World versus World, our guild at the time was known for World versus World content and other games and like leading PvP content. So we worked with ArenaNet, and it was a really great situation. It was a really great experience working with them on that. However, shortly before the game released, before Guild Wars 2 released, the guildmate that helped us work with ArenaNet, the one that had the contacts and everything, he passed away suddenly. And we were devastated because he was kind of like a dad to a bunch of us. He was a really, really sweet guy, really great leader when it came to PvP. Was always fair, was always just a total gentleman. Like, he was just a really wonderful person. He passed away suddenly. So a bunch of us petitioned ArenaNet to name a server after him. Because he was so into Guild Wars 2. He would have absolutely loved that game. Like, he loved the way it was going. He loved the testing that was going on. Like, he was like 100% like gung-ho. Like, he absolutely adored it, and he could not wait to play it. So yeah, we petitioned, said, hey, if you don't have any other plans yet, would you consider naming a server after him? And they did. They named it Sanctum. He named one of the servers Sanctum of Raw, which his last name was Raw. And there was a whole storyline that they came up with for that, which was pretty amazing. We were just absolutely so floored that they did that for us. And so at that point, I became a huge ArenaNet fan, even though I was so mad at them for the prologue of Guild Wars 1. At that point, I became a huge ArenaNet fan because it became very clear that they really appreciated their fans and they really appreciated their community. And I thought that was incredibly kind of them to do that. So I did play a lot of Guild Wars 2. I did get a level capped character or two. I can't remember. I think it was just one. But it's one of those things where I never finished. Like I think I played through maybe the first expansion, but I don't think I ever played past that. But because it's but I have the expansions. And so I'm sitting here thinking, okay, Guild Wars 3 is currently in development. From what I understand, they are going to resurrect the Hall of Monuments, which is where they did it when they transitioned from Guild Wars 1 to Guild Wars 2, where if in Guild Wars 1 you did certain things and completed certain achievements, you would get titles and skins in Guild Wars 2. So I was thinking, and they're supposed to be doing that for the transition between Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 3. So I'm thinking, okay, I need to go back, get back into Guild Wars 2 and start completing more content so that I'll be ready once they officially announce the Hall of Monuments and what needs to be done. Hopefully I can get some of that stuff done for the launch into Guild Wars 3. Now, I have no idea what Guild Wars 3 is going to be like. It's supposed to be an MMO, I believe, but that's like all I know. So they haven't released any gameplay footage or anything like that, to my knowledge. But I'm excited to see what they do with it. I think it'll be interesting. It definitely looks like a pretty game from what I can see. So Guild Wars 2 is an option. It's free. I already have it. I can get ready for Guild Wars 3. What are my other options? I could do, if I want to do something cozy, I could do Stardew Valley. That's a possibility. But I've never gotten that far into Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is weird, and I don't know if there's like anything that you can do to change this, but the thing I hate about Stardew Valley is that the day-night cycle is so fast. It irritates me that it's so quick because I feel like I'm constantly racing against the clock to get things done by certain times. And I am not a fan of that. I like day-night cycles, but I don't like them in like 15-minute increments or whatever it is. Give me a day-night cycle that's like an hour or 2 hours or 24 hours, like Animal Crossing. But I'm just not a fan of like super fast day-night cycles. So yeah, Stardew Valley is an option, but not really one that I want to pursue. Lord of the Rings Online is another old favorite MMO of mine. I enjoy Lord of the Rings Online when I get into a really, really, like a real Tolkien mood. Or like into a real like Renaissance mood. Because Lord of the Rings Online, let me tell you all. Lord of the Rings Online is one of my favorite MMOs. Because it is so incredibly true to the source material. They have taken such care. Turbine or Standing Stone Games now, as it's called, has taken such care to work with the Tolkien estate and to work with the source material to make sure that the game is very, very true to it, and that the settings are right, and that the villains are right, and the mobs are right. Like they really have gone above and beyond. It is probably the closest thing to stepping into Middle Earth that you will ever find. It is, however, a very traditional MMO. Like, the graphics are not the most up to date. Once you play it for a while, the graphics don't really bother you as much, or at least they don't bother me as much once I get into it. But like when you first jump into it, it feels and looks weird, if that makes sense. And ultimately, like, I'm not into like raids or anything like that. Like, literally, when I play Lord of the Rings Online, I'm just into quests and just hanging out. So, I don't know. I'm not really in the mood to jump back into Lord of the Rings Online at the moment. What are my other options? I feel like Guild Wars 2 is probably the best of the options. I I'm really kind of craving jumping back into Warcraft Classic just because I'd like to do some fishing and kind of hang out. But then I'm like, Guild Wars 2 seems like the one that makes the most sense to jump into. Just something easy to pick up and put down. Like, no rush. No rush to do anything. So I don't know. I might do that. But also, anytime I think about logging into a game, I'm like, wait, there's so much knitting I could be doing, or spinning, or I have this and that project that I want to finish. So, too many things to do and not enough time to do them. I also have a book club meeting. I don't know if it's next week or the week after. I think it's the week after next. It's the second Tuesday, so it'll be the week after next. Have I finished the book? No. It's a book. I can't remember the name of the writer, but the name of the book is Finley Donovan is Killing It. And I think it's like a mystery, kind of, sort of. Basically, the idea is she is a writer that is not having such a great time of it. And I think she is getting hired by somebody to investigate a wayward husband who is also a really terrible person. And I don't know what the deal is from there. I'm trying to figure that out. So yeah, I need to finish reading that book. And I also need to I need to work on getting a list of our book club recommendations or book club suggestions for next year so we can get 2027 reserved and booked up. Sometimes I think very seriously about seeing if we could do Dungeon Crawler Carl as a book club selection because I love Dungeon Crawler Carl. However, it's also a pretty big book, and most of our books are considerably smaller than that. So I don't know if I want to try to see if I can get everybody to read it, but and I don't know that everybody would be into it. But I think it would be a really fun book club discussion afterwards. Look at that variegation, y'all. It's not like, I mean, it's stripes, obviously, but like they're very, I mean, it's stripes, it's pooling, but it's not like crazy. I actually really like it. It's gentle stripes. All right. How far are we? About 1.25 inches to go. And then at that point, I will probably run to Michael's and see if I can get some stuffing so that I can work on stuffing this dude. Some stuffing, some buttons, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need. Maybe little pellets to put in his butt. I don't normally do plushies. This is actually my first homemade plushie that I'm knitting. But like I said, I found the Murloc pattern from World of Warcraft, or the Murloc from World of Warcraft pattern. The pattern is not by World of Warcraft, but it's for Murloc. And I definitely want to make one of those, possibly more of those. So if I get a bag of stuffing, I'll definitely use it. You can't hear it if you're listening to the VOD, but currently the music is the song Heroes, popularized by David Bowie, of course, but sung by Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day. And I love his version. I love the original. I love the version by the Wallflowers from back in the 90s, which, by the way, is an amazing version of that song. And it's really a shame that the only place you can actually hear it these days is on YouTube. Apparently, there were such crazy licensing issues because, of course, it's David Bowie's song, sung by the Wallflowers for the Godzilla movie. And apparently because there's so many different people, different parties involved, licensing to actually get it released on like Spotify or other streaming, like music streaming platforms, is difficult. So the only place right now you can actually hear it is on YouTube. You can see the video for it. But yeah, I loved Billy Joe Armstrong's version as well. Billy Joe has such a great, like, distinctive voice. It just works. And yeah, if you're watching the VOD of this on either Twitch or YouTube, you're not going to hear the music before it can be uploaded. Basically, if anything is going to be saved as a VOD or uploaded as a VOD, it has to have music stripped out due to copyright issues and DMCA. Totally understandable. So if you want to hear the music, listen to the live stream. I am going to try to see if I can get a set schedule at some point. Right now, while I'm trying to kind of find my groove with things and see what my schedule is going to be like. I don't have a set schedule yet. I think Monday nights will be pretty consistent. Probably Monday nights around 6:30 or so, or 7. But as far as other times, it might just be totally random right now. Typically Saturdays and Sundays could work as well. It just depends on if I have stuff going on. like other events. Sometimes I have like events and things happening on the weekends. So, but like a Sunday morning would probably be pretty good. But once I get a set schedule up, I'll be sure to post it on my About page, and I'll probably start publicizing it more. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this yarn right here is getting really thick. So I'm fighting it a little bit. Trying to pull it as tight as possible. So it doesn't like totally mess up the gauge. So the yarn that I'm using for this is the 2-ply that I applied the other night on stream. Over here on this guy still. Yesterday I did do some what is called chain plying, which is basically, I don't even know how to explain it. It doesn't make sense when I try to explain it. It doesn't make sense in my head. It works, but it does not make sense. So basically, what you're doing is you take one ply, one single of yarn, and you do like a cat's cradle kind of thing where you're basically looping it up onto itself and you're constantly pulling loops through while it spins. And so it ends up being basically kind of like the equivalent of like 3-ply, but you're only making out of 1-ply of yarn. Anyways, this section is like the very first section that I ever spun, so it's really bad. But like you can see as you go into here, if you can actually see it. Let's see. Get back here. There it is. It actually has spun up a lot tighter than the 2-ply did. And for the most part, other than this first section, which is wonky because it's where I was started spinning, it actually spun up fairly uniform. So chain plying, definitely it works. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't feel like it should work, but it does. I would definitely do it again, though. It takes a little bit of practice because you're constantly, like I said, it's like a cat's cradle kind of thing. You're constantly looping the yarn through itself while it's spinning. But it did work very nicely. And I think if you had a yarn that had very distinct color changes in it, like say a green, yellow, or like a blue, red, yellow type yarn that had very distinct color chunks in it, if you wanted it to be very stripy, chain plying would be the way to go because it would keep those sections of color fairly pure, fairly uniform, because you're twisting the yarn up on itself as opposed to twisting it with a ply that might be something different. You know, you're not going to really, if you're plying it with a chain ply, basically you're going to have like a solid section of blue and a solid section of yellow and a solid section of red. Whereas if you do like a 2-ply, you might have sections that are like blue and yellow together or red and blue together or whatnot. And it just depends on what you want, what the desired effect is. Do you want it to be more mottled? Or do you want it to be more stripy? Interestingly, this is 2-ply, and it's actually turning out, I mean, it's mottled, but it actually is turning out stripy as well. But it's a subtle stripe. I do think I will have enough to make multiple of these. At least 2, possibly 3, maybe. I'm hoping for 3. 3 would be awesome. If I can get 3 out of all this, I know exactly who I'm giving the other 2 to. Can we just talk about how crazy it is that circular needles have become so prolific in knitting these days? I mean, for years and years, straight needles were the way to go. But I honestly, like, at least within my circles, my knitting groups, I can't tell you, I can't even name one person that uses straight needles anymore. Some will use DPNs if they don't like doing magic loop for socks or whatnot. But like true flat knitting needles, nobody uses them anymore. It's all circular, including myself. And I get it. Circular needles are just more versatile. They're great if you want to knit in the round, and a lot of patterns are knit in the round these days. I think the only patterns that I ever really see knit flat these days are usually like cable sweater patterns, like traditional cable sweater patterns or Farrell sweater patterns, things like that. For the most part, everything else is knit in the round. So it's just interesting to me how tools have changed over the years. And the thing is, with circular needles, you know, if you want to knit flat on circular needles, you totally can, but you can't knit in the round on flat needles or straight needles. So circular needles just give you that flexibility that you need. It's going to get to the point where I'm going to measure like every other row, be like, am I there yet? Am I there yet? Am I there yet? Am I there yet? Not yet. Keep knitting. I'm also considering if maybe, since I didn't have a chance to wash this yarn before to like let it bloom, maybe before I stuff the bodies, like while they're still flat, maybe I should wash them, or at least just let them soak in some wool wash or something like that, and give them a chance to bloom before I stuff them. I might do that. Make them smell good. I don't think that this wool is superwash. So if I do wash it, I have to be sure not to felt it. Yep, 5 inches. About 4 3/8. Just a few more rows to go. What I might use this 3-ply yarn for, especially the edges that are kind of wonky, I might use that for some of his tentacles. And then use some of this yarn, since it's more uniform, I'm using this for the body and for the head. And then I'll probably use some of this, like unspin it because it's curled up now, and use that for the tentacles. So yeah, and then on the game discussion, back onto that. So typically I'm a PC gamer. Like I said, World of Warcraft, lots of MMOs, things like that. I don't really do consoles. However, I I do have a Nintendo Switch, the first one. I typically will buy whatever portable console Nintendo puts out once they come out with a new Animal Crossing. So anytime a new Animal Crossing comes out, I will buy the console that it's on. Um, I am a huge, huge Animal Crossing fan. I absolutely love that game. And so they haven't really released anything really like a new, true new game since New Horizons. I know they released some updates that you can get, I think, if you have a Switch 2, but that wasn't compelling enough for me to get a Switch 2. So I'm hoping at some point they release a new actual Animal Crossing game. And at that point, I'll get whatever console that it comes out on. However, I keep seeing videos for Pocopia, and it's very tempting. I know that like it looks like Animal Crossing. My understanding is it does not actually play like Animal Crossing. So I get that. And I know it's annoying to some people that it gets a lot of comparisons to Animal Crossing. But like I guess that is actually what would draw me to that game if I were to play it. I probably need to watch some like let's plays on it and see if it's something that I would actually enjoy. Because I don't know, a Switch 2 for one game is a little crazy. And yes, I say that as somebody who does that exact thing for Animal Crossing. But like if I don't know that I'm going to like it, I don't know that I want to take that risk, if that makes sense. All right, we're gonna measure one more time. Keep going. Got probably 2 or 4 more rows to go. Maybe 2 and then the cast off. Maybe. I don't know, we'll see. So yeah, I'm tempted by the Switch 2, but I don't know. The other issue is, do I actually have time to play enough games to justify getting a Switch 2? And I don't know that I do. I do love gaming. Um, I just have so many things I love. I have so many interests. It's so hard to juggle between them all. Close. Maybe this might be the last row. It doesn't have to be exactly 5 by 5. It was just actually it said like 4 by 5 would work. So maybe this will be the last row, and then I'll cast off. Um, and just leave it at that. I'm really kind of shocked at how like even the striping is on this watch. And I'm really curious, like if I start a new one, if it's going to be very similar, or if as I go through this yarn, if I start getting more variegation. I'm kind of like treating both of these. I'm going to go ahead and make 2 bodies. But I'm treating these as like gauge swatches or as swatches just to see what the effect is. Because I feel like it's going to be different. All right. Again. Hey, it's right at 5 inches, so this is actually perfect. All right, so let's cast off. So I'm going to go with this size for the bodies. I'm going to experiment with the head a little bit because the pattern just says to cast on 30 stitches and knit in the round for 2 inches. And then you do his face, which looks like it's probably about another roughly 2 inches long. And then you attach his little tentacles and the eyes. And then you sew the head onto the body. So I want to do the bodies first so that I can see how big the body actually is. And that way, as I start to do the head, I can adjust the stitch count if needed. Because like I said, I don't know what the gauge is, and like 30 stitches in a worsted weight can be very different from 30 stitches in a bulky weight, and so on and so forth. But what is comforting is that even though the pattern is kind of a homebrew pattern, there are like 141 projects on the Ravelry project page, and most of them look really cute. So, like, I know it's possible to get a really cute result with these instructions. I think it just, you have to be able to kind of actively think about what you're making and make it the right size and shape and be able to adjust on the fly. So this square that I've got right now, it's a 5-inch square. It's 36. It's 30 stitches across. So to give you an idea, if you do 30 stitches and you make it into a head, so that means his head would be like roughly kind of like that, like a tube, kind of like that. Once I get the body done, I can then kind of compare. I'll do one body. Actually, no, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to knit up both bodies. I'm going to actually stuff and sew up one and leave the other body flat. And that way, as I make the head, I can use the other body as kind of like a sample just to see like how big it's going to be. And that way I can determine the finished measurements of the head. That makes sense in my brain. It may not make sense in yours. But yeah, I think I'm just going to have to like modify things a little bit to make sure that they are to scale. And if I stream the knitting on this guy again, I'll have a picture up so you can see what I'm going for. All right. So I'm going to cut this yarn about about like that. I'm going to make it, that's pretty long compared to what I normally would do for this, but the idea is that maybe I can use this tail to actually sew one of the legs or one of the arms. All right, so this is our first body. So the way that you do, it's actually really cute. It's got a little bit of brown in there. I can just flip it over and do it this way. So yeah, the way that it works, and I apologize if you hear noise outside. There's a vacuum cleaner outside my office right now. But basically the way that you make the body is you sew like this edge, this corner together, and you'll sew this corner together. Ooh. And you'll sew this corner together. And you'll sew this corner together. And that makes his little body. He kind of sits like this. Like this is his butt right here. And he kind of sits like so. And his head will be sewn up here. So it'll be like this. It's hard to explain exactly, but I see what they're doing. I understand it. Like when I first was reading the instructions, I was like, this makes no sense. But then once I saw a diagram, I was like, okay, I think I'm picking up what they're putting down. It's almost like a fortune cookie. It's kind of like, okay, I understand now. So yeah, so my plan is I am going to run to Michael's and get some stuffing and buttons for his eyes and maybe some little beads for his butt. And then come back and I will make the other body. I probably won't stream that one, but I'm going to make the other body and then maybe I'll stream making the head. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. We'll see. So thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope to see you again next time. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye.